On the night of December 16th, 1811, the ground in western Tennessee began to shake. Not briefly. For 4 minutes, the earth moved in a continuous rolling motion that eyewitnesses described as waves passing through the soil, trees snapping, riverbanks collapsing, the Mississippi River running backward. It was the first of 3 major earthquakes that struck the New Madrid Seismic Zone between December 1811 and February 1812, the most powerful sequence of earthquakes ever recorded in the continental United States. The third earthquake, on February 7, 1812, was estimated at magnitude 8.8. It rang church bells in Boston, 100 miles away. It knocked chimneys down in Cincinnati. It was felt as far away as New York City and New Orleans. And in a low-lying section of western Tennessee, it did something that no earthquake in recorded American history had done before. It created a lake. Reelfoot Lake in Lake County, Tennessee, did not exist before December 1811. The land was forest, stands of cypress and tupelo covering a flat river bottom that drained toward the Mississippi. The earthquakes dropped a section of the land surface several feet in a matter of minutes, creating a topographic depression that the Mississippi River and local streams quickly filled. By spring of 1812, Reelfoot Lake existed where forest had been. The lake is unusual in ways that reflect its violent origin. It is shallow, averaging about 5 feet deep because it sits in a subsidence zone rather than a carved basin. It is irregular in shape, following the contours of the land that dropped, filling around the stumps and trunks of the forest that had been standing when the earthquake hit. Those stumps are still there, cypress trees killed when the lake covered them. In 1812, still stand in the water, their grey trunks rising from the surface of a lake that formed around them in a single seismic event 210 years ago. The earthquake did not create an empty landscape. People had been living in the Reelfoot Lake area for thousands of years. The Mississippian culture that built Cahokia and Moundville and the mound complexes across the American South had communities in the western Tennessee river bottoms long before the 1811 earthquakes. Archaeological surveys of the Reelfoot Lake region have documented Mississippian period sites throughout the area, sites that were occupied when the earthquake struck, sites that were either abandoned, destroyed, or submerged in the weeks that followed. Some of those sites are now underwater. The land that dropped in February 1812 was not uninhabited. The communities that had built on the stable river bottom before the earthquake found themselves living on the edge of a new lake or underwater. The archaeological record of Mississippian occupation in the Reelfoot Lake area is incomplete, precisely because a significant portion of it sank beneath the lake's surface in a single night. The mounds that survived the earthquake and the subsequent flooding document the presence of a Mississippian community in this landscape before 1811. Several mound sites have been identified in the broader Reelfoot Lake area, elevated earthworks that stood above the subsidence zone and were not submerged when the lake formed. These mounds represent the community that was here before the earthquake changed the landscape permanently. The Mississippian people who built mounds in western Tennessee were part of the same ceremonial world as Cahokia, located 200 miles up the Mississippi River, the center of the most extensive pre-Columbian civilization north of Mexico. The western Tennessee communities were connected to Cahokia through the Mississippi Exchange Network, receiving and distributing the copper, shells, mica, and ceremonial objects that moved through the Mississippian world. When the earthquake created Reelfoot Lake, it submerged part of that connected world, a specific section of the Mississippian landscape that had been occupied for centuries. And that disappeared underwater in the space of a few catastrophic minutes. The New Madrid earthquakes of 1811 and 1812 are the largest earthquake sequence in American recorded history. But the Reelfoot Lake area had experienced seismic activity long before European settlement. Geological evidence from sediment cores documents major earthquake events in the New Madrid Zone at approximately 900 CE, 1450 CE, and 1811 CE. 900 CE, that is the height of the Mississippian period, the same time that Cahokia was growing into the largest pre-Columbian city north of Mexico, the same time that Mississippian communities were establishing themselves across western Tennessee. The earthquake event, documented at 900 CE in the New Madrid Zone, predates European settlement by 700 years. The communities that were building mounds in western Tennessee at that time experienced a major earthquake, and we have no record of what happened to them. No European chronicler, no newspaper account, no written description of the landscape that existed before and the landscape that existed after. Only the geology tells us the earthquake happened. Only the archaeology tells us people were there. What the earthquake did to those people and their communities is a question the record cannot yet answer. Reelfoot Lake is now a Tennessee state park and wildlife refuge, one of the most productive freshwater fishing lakes in the South, known for its bass, crappie, and catfish, and for the bald eagles that nest there in numbers, unusual this far south. The cypress stumps still stand in the water. The lake that the earthquake created in 1812 is still there, shallow, irregular, still filling the depression the earthquake made. Beneath the surface of that shallow lake, somewhere in the sediment of the subsided river bottom, there are sites, Mississippian sites, or earlier, some of them certainly containing the material evidence of communities that were living here when the ground moved. Some of those sites have never been excavated. Some of them cannot be excavated, submerged under 5 feet of lake water, covered by 2 centuries of sediment, accessible only with specialized equipment that most archaeological surveys cannot afford to deploy. The earthquake that created the lake also sealed part of the regional archaeological record beneath it. The 1811 earthquakes are the largest in American recorded history, but they are not the most destructive in terms of human life, because western Tennessee in 1811 had a sparse European American population. The same earthquakes occurring at 900 CE, when the Mississippian world was fully established in western Tennessee, would have struck a densely occupied landscape. The 900 CE event may have done exactly that. The communities along the Mississippi and its western Tennessee tributaries in the year 900 would have been in the middle of building the civilization that would produce Cahokia. A magnitude 8 earthquake in that landscape at that moment would have been catastrophic, collapsing earthworks, destroying communities, potentially displacing populations that had been establishing themselves in the river bottom for generations. The geological record confirms it happened. The archaeological record is incomplete, precisely because what happened altered the landscape in ways that buried the evidence. Reelfoot Lake sits in western Tennessee as both a natural wonder and an archaeological puzzle. The cypress stumps in the water are 200 years old, killed in 1812, still standing in the lake that formed around them. The mounds in the surrounding area are 1,000 years old, still visible, still documented, still asking the questions that the earthquake made harder to answer by sealing part of the record beneath the water. The earthquake created the lake. The lake covers the sites. The sites ask what happened when the earthquake struck the communities that were here before any of this was recorded. The water is still shallow. The stumps are still standing. The sites are still under the water. And the 900 CE earthquake that no one wrote down may have changed this landscape just as dramatically as the one in 1811 that everyone did. There is one more detail about Reelfoot Lake that most accounts omit. The 1811 earthquake sequence was not sudden in the way we imagine earthquakes. It lasted months. The first major shock was December 16, 1811. The second major shock was January 23, 1812. The third and largest was February 7, 1812. Between those main events, thousands of aftershocks continued through spring and summer of 1812. The communities living in western Tennessee in 1811 and 1812 experienced not a single catastrophic event, but a sustained period of ground instability that lasted nearly a year. The people who survived the December earthquake faced the January earthquake. The people who survived January faced the February earthquake. Each successive event reshaped the landscape, further dropping the terrain, altering the river courses, expanding the new lake, collapsing the riverbanks. A year of earthquakes. Now imagine that same sequence in 900 CE in a landscape densely occupied by communities in the process of building the civilization that would eventually produce the largest pre-Columbian city north of Mexico. A year of earthquakes in that landscape at that moment. The Mississippian world, we know from the archaeology, was built on what came after. What came before, what was interrupted, what was destroyed, what was submerged, is under the water of a lake that did not exist before the ground decided to move. The cypress stumps are still standing in the water. The stumps of the forest that was alive on December 15, 1811, the day before the ground moved, are still there, grey and dead, in a lake that formed around them while they were still living. 200 years of standing in water that was never supposed to be there. The water is 5 feet deep on average. The sites are below the water. The 900 CE earthquake happened. The Mississippian communities were there when it did. What happened to them is still in the sediment, waiting for someone with the equipment and the permits and the patience to look.